some of the things that you believed in August and early September are true, even though they don't look like they're true when you get into the week 6 or week 7. And what I mean by that is, okay, the Ravens. So we all thought in August that the Ravens were going to be one of the best teams in the league. And then they get off to the start. Lamar Jackson gets hurt. So even before Lamar Jackson gets hurt, you look at the Ravens and say, well, they're not the same. Look at that defense. It's a mess. And what happened to them? And they'll be lucky to even be afloat when it comes to Halloween or Thanksgiving. And then you watch them last night with the healthy Lamar Jackson. And you go, yeah, that's about right. This is who they are. We weren't crazy. And it's just only a matter of time, Mike. It's only a matter of time with them. They are probably the most exciting, most feared 3-5 team in football history, in the history of football. I mean, you look at it, you look at their schedule, with all respect to your Vikings, it's going to be a long time before the Ravens lose another game. I mean, you look at that, what's in front of them. You know, you got the Browns there and the Jets and the Vikings. I mean, look at that. Look at that. And I don't want to go down the rabbit hole too much. But Mike, I had a thought last night. And who am I to call anybody? I would never call anybody a liar straight out. I would never say, you're lying. I might give him a Ron Burgundy, I don't believe you. Okay? So I'm going to give the I don't believe you to John Harbaugh. When you look at the schedule, and he says it was an innocent mistake with Lamar Jackson, I don't believe it was. Because he knew the schedule, this upcoming schedule is so favorable for the Ravens. The one game that could throw off the whole calculus would be the Bears, a winning team on the schedule with no Lamar Jackson. They needed to have that one to make this conversation even relevant. They had to win against the Bears. So you needed every advantage you could get, and one of your advantages is, playing, hey, Willie, won't he? He was a full participant. Limited. Oh no, he's out. It worked to their advantage. They needed every single thing. They had to have that game to make this soft schedule even more relevant for them down the stretch.
And on that point, before we get into the details of last night's game, it is sufficiently important, and we live in this age of bright, shiny objects that distract us from things that should not be forgotten. Ian Rappaport said last night on the Amazon Prime Video pregame show that the investigation is ongoing regarding the Ravens' clear error last week in the characterization of Lamar Jackson's practice participation on Friday. They put him down as full when they clearly and obviously should have put him down as limited. Rappaport said something that I said Sunday night on Football Night in America. Heavy fines, draft picks are in play. And our guy Kirk last night during the game was carrying a little water for the Ravens saying, I can't imagine that was intentional. Well, Kirk, that's because you don't follow the NFL 24/7. I'm going to attribute that to pretty much anything he says I don't agree with. Like, Kirk, if you were all in with the NFL, you would understand that was a pile of crap. And all due respect to John Harbaugh, he said what he had to say. Coaches find themselves in must-lie situations all the time. And, Michael, I've been saying for years that because football rewards deception on the field, and you think of all the different plays where the play is successful if you can fool your opponent, the play-action pass, the zone blitz, the draw play, any trick play, it's a trick. We've deceived you. We made you think we were going to do that, and we did this. Sucks for you. And then you get into the whole strategic aspect of what players we want to sign, who we might trade. The draft is one big lie after another. And I've always said that coaches particularly, but also general managers, owners, other people who are involved in the overall strategizing for the team, you never know where the line ends between permissible lying and impermissible lying. So John Harbaugh is saying it was an honest mistake right after he said, I don't have any role. Well, how the hell would you know it's an honest mistake then if you didn't have a role in it? You're just passing along whoever had their hand caught in the cookie jar what they told you. You're in no position to say it was an honest mistake if you also are saying you had no role in it. So anyway, your point is 100% accurate. And there's another simmering quarterback ruse that we're going to talk about later, but the rule makes it clear. They're going to get punished because they clearly violated the rule.
Yes.
The investigation will look into, if they do the investigation as it's required by the policy, it will look into the question of whether the Ravens, and it uses this language in the policy, basically, did you view this as a cost of doing business? Did you deliberately violate the rule because you looked at it as, we'll pay the fine. We need the win. We'll deal with the punishment. You know, what's the word? It's better to ask for forgiveness than ask for permission. Like, we'll deal. Right. We'll pay. It's a parking ticket. And so, as the rule is written, the punishment should be even greater, and that's why John Harbaugh said it was an honest mistake. Because if he comes out and says, well, you know, it was a strategic objective aimed at making the Bears think that they were going to face Lamar Jackson when they actually faced Tyler Huntley. We needed this win badly, and if we get whacked, so be it, because if we lose, our season's over. My job may be done. We're going to have massive changes here. We need this win badly. We need to spark a winning streak, and if we have to pay $100,000 on the back end, so be it. I'll take the heat. I don't mind. I'll take the heat. Well, that means the heat has to be a hell of a lot higher in order to send the proper message. So we'll see if the NFL is serious about enforcing its policy as written. I know there are teams out there that would say the Ravens are on the list of favorite sons, and other teams would be hammered harder. I'm not sure that's going to help the Ravens. The timing, as we talked last week about the NBA's gambling scandal, the timing couldn't have been worse for the Ravens to do what they did when they did it. So that's hovering over all of this. And I was surprised they even addressed it last night. I wasn't sure, and I'm glad they addressed it. I was disappointed that Kirk carried water for the Ravens. Al didn't. Al knows what's up. Al explained it as tactfully as he could without making any excuses. Because I think anybody that gets it, anybody that follows the NFL all the time that isn't doing college football games on Saturdays and traveling here, there, and everywhere when he otherwise should be paying attention to the NFL, I think anybody that gets it knows what the Ravens did and that the Ravens are willing to accept the punishment. The policy makes it clear the punishment needs to be more severe because of that reality.
And Mike, I've said this before, and everybody says it about the Ravens. Really, they are the straight A students of the NFL. They're at the front of the class. They do everything right. They do everything well. They're free agents. They sign good free agents. They draft well. Eric DaCosta has gone to the top of the class. He's the valedictorian when it comes to the compensatory draft formula. I mean, they could write a book on it. They are great at it. So and one of the areas they struggled a few years ago, they no longer struggle there either. They couldn't draft wide receivers. They had this long streak where they didn't draft good wide receivers. And now one of them caught a pass last night, Rashad Bateman. Zay Flowers became a Pro Bowler for them, so they even do that well. But do straight A students make mistakes on the test? Sure. It just means they don't get 97s and 98s. They drop down. Their mistakes, they go down to like an 87 or an 88. This was an F. They're too smart for this. They would not make this mistake. The Ravens could not make this mistake. It's not a mistake. There's no way the Baltimore Ravens, with a coach who's been there forever, since 2009 or 2008, a coach who's been there wouldn't say, oh, wow, I didn't realize that my starting quarterback on the scout team doesn't count the same as my starting quarterback taking reps with the ones. That is just hard to believe. And so if the investigation comes up with anything besides, oh, yeah, you guys really screwed up, then I'll be disappointed. There's no way. There's no way in the world they didn't know what they were doing. And as you said, with the parking ticket example, take it for somebody who's accumulated a lot of parking tickets, especially in the days around when Fenway Park and when the Red Sox were really at their height, and you drive by Fenway and the lot would say, $75 to park here. I say, oh, the hell I am going to pay $75. You know what? I'll park at this meter. I'll take a $30. I'll take a $30 hit and save $45. So, yeah, they knew what they were doing.
And we're going to be obviously tracking this very carefully. I'm going to be asking questions. I plan this weekend in advance of Football Night in America to make my rounds with the NFL to see where the investigation stands. I've heard from multiple different teams who call BS on the idea that the head coach isn't directly involved in the crafting of the injury report. It feels like an effort to throw the training staff, the medical staff, and the PR staff under the bus. Or maybe it's just deliberate ignorance. Maybe they've crafted a situation where we can do this, and if and when it ever hits the fan, we're able to say one time, because you can't go back to that well. But you got one get out of jail free card. And I always have to check myself as I say that, because our good friend Chris Sims at one point said, get out of free jail card, and I got that in my head. So many of the Simsisms have poisoned my brain to the point where I almost say them all the time. So, you know, And oh, why are you so cynical? Because so many people are full of shit. That's why I'm so cynical. Sorry, London. That's why I'm cynical. You know, there was that thing a few weeks ago. God, and it feels a lot longer than that. When Tom Brady sent out that newsletter where he was all high and mighty about how, why would anyone question me? And the people who would ask these questions are telling on themselves. And I remember sitting here saying, and it was when I was sitting here, not down in the Olive Garden set, I remember sitting here saying, look, I practiced law for 19 years. I have been lied to by every size, shape, and type of person. Background doesn't matter. Man of the cloth sitting there with the little white collar, lying to my face, under oath. So you get to a point where you're looking for liars everywhere because you understand that there are circumstances where people have to lie. And that was one of them for the Ravens. And as soon as it happened, as soon as I caught wind of it last Saturday and I started asking questions, I got the sense that they were circling the wagons and simultaneously crapping their pants. You can just tell when somebody's in that, what the, you can feel it. So and it was the worst possible day. That's the thing where you just can't make it up. That was the lead of my first item on the story. Sometimes you can't make it up. And sometimes you don't have to. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.